You can probably hear behind us, away down to our left, the celebrations very much continuing with the Atalanta fans. And Damien, you'd expect those celebrations to continue long into the night. A first ever European trophy for the club. What a special night for them.
Amazing, and the best thing about it is they deserved it. I felt the occasion was huge, and I wondered would we get a game to match it, and we did. And Atalanta imposed their will onto the opposition, and they just had their way with them. The press worked beautifully. Of course, Leverkusen will look back and have a certain number of regrets in terms of maybe they could have set up a little bit differently. But tonight is all about Atalanta, and Gasperini getting the night he finally deserved. All those years of punching above his weight, and finally he gets that trophy. Yeah,
you mentioned punching above their weight. It's not the first time even this year they've done it. Obviously we saw those fantastic performances against Liverpool, against Marseille when they needed it. What is it about this Atalanta team? They just seem so well drilled. Everybody does their job, and then they have people like Ademola Lookman who just produce the magic.
They're very diligent, I must say. The manager obviously has a clear way of playing, a clear way that he wants to play, and the players buy into it. They absolutely do. And when everybody goes on the press, if one person, I promise you, if one person is a half a step short or a dollar shy, it's wiped out, because Leverkusen will come through the press, and then the 2v2 on the halfway line gets found out. So every player has to buy into it, and in fairness to them, they do. And it was so effective.
And what about Ademola Lookman to score a hat-trick in a European final like that? Some performance, and you'd imagine, I'm just looking at those celebrations down there, you'd imagine he had the freedom of Bergamo from now on.
Listen, I mean, I was surprised that there were 6 players did it, but I suppose 1975, Dave said on air, it was the last time a player scored a hat-trick. But he was devastatingly efficient. Every time he got the ball, he called Tapsoba so many problems over the course of the night in terms of the position he took up. I thought he'd be playing as a winger, chalk on your heels. He didn't. He was coming into the little pockets of space, and Tapsoba wasn't sure, should he go all the way in with him, or should I stay and help my other centre-back partner with Scamacca. In the end, by the time he got there, Lookman had been turned and he was running at him, and it's very, very difficult to stop somebody like that. So that's probably one of the things Leverkusen will be a little bit frustrated with, that they didn't address that quickly enough.
What about Leverkusen then? I mean, to go 51 games unbeaten, but tonight, what do you think it was? Did the occasion get to them? Were you disappointed by them?
No, I think sometimes, look, you can dig into it for as long as you want, but sometimes you have to say the opposition were just better than us on the night. Perhaps, as I said, he might look back on this if they have time before the cup final on the weekend and address a couple of issues. But tonight's all about Atalanta. They imposed their will on the game and they got the result they wanted, and that's what I'm delighted about. There was no luck attached to it, there was no fortune, there was no refereeing decision. It was just the sheer cohesiveness of Atalanta got the better of Leverkusen tonight.
Well, they're still out on the pitch down there with their fans. As Damien says, tonight is all about Atalanta. For Leverkusen, it's 51 and out. But for Atalanta, it's a first ever European trophy.